I'm Dixie Holden.
And I'm Jacqueline Watson.
And we're here today to present our project for Health 6200, Dr. Aby's Assessment and Evaluation in Health class.
After a thorough literature review of scholarly articles, it was determined that there was very little research in the area of technology use in the health sciences classroom. While there is vast amounts of literature proving that technology increases learning, there was none that we could find that directly related to health science students, both male and female. The majority of research we reviewed related to technology in general found that technology increases student performance. In our review of literature, we started with tertiary sources, which was our textbook. We looked at secondary sources, which were reviews of research. And finally, we came to primary sources, which were journal articles documenting original research. Our revised research question is as follows. Will using technology in a lesson improve student scores, both male and female, on a standardized test in a health occupations class?
Purpose. Student scores, both male and female, are less than 70% proficient on standardized tests in health sciences.
The review's revised purpose. Currently, student scores, both male and female, are less than 70% proficient on standardized tests in health sciences. Changing teaching strategies to include the use of technology will increase student scores to over 80% proficiency.
Present title. Increasing learning using a research-based teaching strategy in a health science class of high school male and females.
The variables include the dependent variables in our study are the test scores and student responses. The independent variables are technology used in the lesson, the test itself, and the sex of the student.
Attributes. Dichotomous variables. Male and female. We decided not to study race or grade or social class because these things were so closely related in both classes that they would not change the outcome of the study.
The level of measurement included interval or score variables, where the difference between values is measured by a fixed scale. An interval variable has all the characteristics of nominal and ordinal. In addition, it is based on predetermined equal intervals and is most often used in educational research. We used experimental empirical data instead of observed empirical data.
Hypothesis. A hypothesis must be, number 1, adequate to explain the findings. Number 2, admit empirical testing by means of a data analysis. 3, have relatively few assumptions. And 4, have explanatory power. Our hypothesis is achievement on standardized tests, both male and female, in a health science classroom is low using only traditional methods because high school students today are adapted to the use of technology.
The design, we used a pre-test, post-test design because we wanted to monitor the effect of a new teaching method upon the group of students.
Issues with feasibility. I found this feasibility checklist and we went by it for our research, and I'm going to read you some of the questions from the checklist. Is the problem of current interest, or will the research results have social, educational, or scientific value? We believe that it is of current interest because of the vast amount of technology that is coming into the classroom today. We also believe that it will have educational and scientific value because teachers will be able to take this information and use it to adapt their lesson plans to include more technology. The next question on the checklist was, will it be possible to apply the results in practice? We know that it is possible to apply these results in our practice because we did that in our research. The next question, does the research contribute to the science of education? We believe it does contribute to the science of education because of the outcomes of the results that we had in our own classes, where Jackie's males had a 56.2% increase, while my females had a 52.6% increase. Next question, will the research opt new problems and lead to further research? We think that this will definitely lead to further research because it needs to be done on a greater scale. Is the research problem important, and will you be proud of the result? The research problem is important because we are now required to do the 6th standard with the North Carolina teacher evaluation tool, and the results of our study will show that using the technology in our classroom, these standardized test scores will increase, therefore increasing our performance for that 6th standard. Is there enough scope left within the area of research? There's a huge amount of scope left within this area of research because new technology is being introduced every day. Can you find an answer to the problem through research, and will you be able to handle the research problem? We believe that the answer is found through research, and it's very simple to test high school students because we have ready access to them. Will it be practically possible to undertake the research? It is practically possible to do this because we could contact all of the health science teachers within the state and send them the lesson and have them perform the lesson in their classroom and then send us the results. It's very practical. Is the research free of any ethical problems and limitations? We believe it is free of ethical problems because no one was excluded in our research. We tested every student in our Health Science 1 classes, and because no one was excluded or no ethical dilemmas were presented, then the research is free of ethical problems. Will it have any value? It has a huge amount of value in our classrooms because we can take this information and show our principals that we need more technology in our classrooms, and by having the research to back that up, we are more likely to get that technology when we ask for it. Do you have the necessary knowledge and skills to do the research, and are you qualified to undertake the research? We believe as classroom teachers we do have this the knowledge and skills to perform this research, and we were able to perform it in our classrooms, and we believe that any teacher across the state could easily do this research because it's stuff that we do on a daily basis anyway. Is there a problem? Is the problem important to you, and are you motivated to undertake the research? Again, this goes back to the 6th standard on the North Carolina teacher evaluation tool. It is important to us because we need to make sure that our students are performing to the optimal level so that we are able to meet that 6th standard. Is the research viable in your situation, and did you have enough time and energy to complete the project? Because we completed this project on a small scale just within our classrooms, we did have enough time to present it and do the research. But if we were going to do it on a much larger scale, say across the state with every health occupations student in all 100 counties, then we would need to have much more time to gather the data and to actually present the lessons or have the other teachers in a class where we could show them what exactly we wanted them to do, but it would take much more time if we did it on a much larger scale. Do you have the necessary funds for the research? We utilized tools that were already available to us, so there were no extra funds needed, so yes, we did have the necessary funds. Will you be able to complete the project within the time available? Yes, we completed this project on a small scale within just the 1 unit that we taught, which was the skeletal system. But it would be nice to be able to do the project across the entire class of Health Science 1 and be able to do every unit and have technology introduced into every lesson. Do you have access to administrative, statistic, and computer facilities? We both had access to these things both at home and at school. So this was the feasibility checklist that we used, and we felt that it was beneficial to us in our study.
Even though we were not actually required to carry out the project we designed, we decided to see what the outcome would be within our own classrooms. We each administered a pretest to a group of students. My population was 20 males in 2 classes. Dixie's was 20 females in a health science classroom. Both classes of students were mixed races and lower to middle income. They were both 10th to 11th grade students. My findings in the class of boys that was given the pretest only, my students scored an average of 52.6%. I then introduced the lesson using the lecture and a PowerPoint. After the lesson, I allowed the students to use a website called academyarcade.com along with the smartboard. Students were out of their seats, actively engaged using the technology for a total of 2 90-minute class periods. After the use of the technology, I gave the students a post-test. My boys scored an average of 93.5%. This was an overall increase of 56.2% after the use of technology.
I did the exact same lesson in my classroom full of girls. I gave the pre-test and my students scored an average of 51.5% on the pre-test. After using the technology, the scores increased to 97.9%. While my average scores were higher than Jackie's boys, the overall percentage of increase from the pre-test to the post-test was only 52.6% in my girls. This showed that the technology increased learning in both the males and the females, but the overall percentage of the increase was in the scores was so much higher in the males using the technology.
In conclusion, this was a very small study done on a very limited number of subjects in a population. If we were actually doing a true research project on this topic, we would want a much larger population to study. We enjoyed learning how to conduct the research because it is something that directly relates to what we do in our classrooms on a daily basis. This could affect our test scores at the end of the year if these methods were used. Thank you very much for your time.